Our story begins in a Gashawon, where a couple is making quite a ruckus. Kim Jin-soo, unable to sleep due to the loud noises, finally gets up and asks them to keep it down if they want to continue. He regrets choosing to stay in a Gashawon, a small, economical living space that doesn't require a deposit. Kim Jin-soo is a graduate school alumnus who has taken a part-time lecturer position at a university. With his limited salary, he couldn't afford the rent in the university district, so he opted for the Gashawon, thinking it wouldn't be an issue since he only needed a place to sleep. However, he quickly realizes this was a mistake. The noise from neighboring rooms is relentless. Arguments, loud conversations, and especially the couple's antics. He hears a girl on the phone in one room, while a man in another is watching a movie at full volume. Frustrated and unable to relax, he covers his ears in a futile attempt to block it all out. Things escalate when the girl next door believes a guy is making comments about Kim Jin-soo. Her boyfriend reassures her not to worry about him, joking that if she's feeling wronged, he'll try harder. Enough is enough. Kim Jin-soo can't take the noise any longer. With a serious expression, he decides to leave the Gashawon. The next day, the weather is nice as he walks down the street, realizing he needs to choose his next place carefully. When he opens the door to a new establishment, he is taken aback by a girl with a big coconut. They lock eyes, and he finds himself captivated by her beauty. As she tries to pass him, he instinctively moves to the right, then to the left, mirroring her movements. Scratching his head, he gestures for her to go ahead. The girl smiles and bows slightly before leaving, making an impression on him as he thinks she's both pretty and alluring. In the next scene, he's outside with the landlord, inquiring about the monthly rent. The landlord states it's 150,000 won, leaving him shocked. He realizes that with maintenance fees, it would be a stretch to afford it. When he asks if there are other options, they check another room, and the landlord mentions it's 120,000 won. Sweating, Kim Jin-soo notes that this place is still a bit pricey. The landlord offered to lower the rent to 90,000 won, claiming there was no cheaper bachelor accommodation in town. Kim Jin-soo was left speechless and sighed in disappointment, deciding to come back another time. As he walked the streets again, he realized that the prices were higher than he had expected and thought he might just stay at the Gashawon after all. Reaching into his pocket, he pulled out his phone, which was ringing. He answered and asked the caller what was up. His friend replied, asking what he was doing that Friday. Kim Jin-soo corrected him, saying it was Saturday. His friend brushed it off and insisted he come out for drinks. The scene shifts to a pub where Kim Jin-soo is drinking with his best friend, In-woo. As Kim Jin-soo laments his studies, In-woo seems to be living the good life while he's still in the Gashawon. In-woo complains about not being in college, and when asked if he's looking for a roommate, he firmly replies that only women are allowed in his place. Suddenly, In-woo spots someone across the room, pouring soju into his glass and exclaiming, "Beautiful." Kim Jin-soo mentions he saw someone too, but In-woo tells him to turn around. There, he sees a stunning blonde girl with a big coconut. She notices him staring and smiles, causing In-woo to tease him about getting caught. Kim Jin-soo shrugs it off, saying he has no intention of talking to her. Determined, In-woo slams the table and declares it's time for action. He stands up confidently and walks over to the table of the two beautiful girls. While Kim Jin-soo wonders if this approach will work, In-woo offers him a drink, and the girls blush, clearly entertained by him. In-woo gestures for them to join their table, and to Kim Jin-soo's surprise, the girls agree. The blonde girl approaches and asks if she can sit next to him. Without hesitation, he replies that she can. She sits down, greets him warmly, and calls him Appa. He responds in kind, and they begin drinking as In-woo pours more soju into their glasses. The atmosphere becomes more relaxed, and the four of them enjoy lively conversation. Eventually, the girl with short hair goes out with In-woo to get ice cream, but they take longer than expected, prompting Kim Jin-soo to complain. The blonde girl then asks him if they should leave. He hesitates, mentioning that In-woo will pay for them. Just then, the waitress approaches, informing them that the pub is about to close. The blonde girl reassures him it's fine, while he feels embarrassed. As he reaches for his phone to call In-woo, he notices the girl heading to the cashier. He asks what she's doing and offers to pay. The cashier informs him that their bill is 350,000 won, leaving him stunned at the high price. The girl, however, pulls out her credit card and says she will cover it. Kim Jin-soo apologizes, but she brushes it off, suggesting he can pay her back later. Feeling overwhelmed, he admits he thinks he can't drink anymore. The blonde girl, blushing, then asks if he wants to go to her house, holding his arm sweetly. Kim Jin-soo was momentarily speechless, finding the situation oddly easy. He imagined that spending a night with a woman like her could lead to waking up on a fishing boat, unable to open his eyes, or worse, his organs harvested while the rest of his body fed to dogs. Despite his fears, they went to the girl's house, and he felt a twinge of resentment for his own reckless behavior. Once inside, they exchanged glances and kissed. Initially, he thought he was caught in an organ trafficking scheme and couldn't believe he was about to sleep with such a stunning woman. As his thoughts spiraled, he shifted to fearing he would be robbed, given how far things had progressed. The blonde girl then removed her clothes, revealing her voluptuous figure. He touched her and kissed her lips, and they spent the night together, losing themselves in the moment, creating memories they would never forget. The next morning, sunlight streamed in as Kim Jin-soo woke up, shocked to find himself still naked. He looked at his body and sighed with relief. It was an organ trafficking scheme. He had genuinely slept with the blonde girl. It felt surreal to be with someone like her. Getting up, he headed to the bathroom to relieve himself. As he opened the door, he was startled to see the beautiful girl from the apartment the day before, also with a big coconut. She was calling for her sister, saying it was time to eat. Kim Jin-soo was taken aback, recognizing her from the previous day. Unsure what to do, he noticed that she seemed just as embarrassed. Kim felt embarrassed and tried to cover himself. Just then, the blonde girl woke up and yawned, only for a girl with black hair to scold her. She reminded her that if she brought another man home again, she would have to leave. The blonde girl was momentarily confused, but quickly claimed that Kim was her cousin. The black-haired girl, Bitna, was surprised, and the blonde girl urged Kim to introduce himself. Embarrassed, Kim scratched the back of his head and greeted Bitna, but she didn't believe he was really the blonde girl's cousin. The blonde girl insisted it was true, explaining that they met for the first time yesterday and had drinks nearby. She added that his car had broken down, and he was too drunk to go home, so she let him stay. She handed Kim his clothes, reminding him that he wasn't supposed to take them off while drunk. Kim apologized for the situation. Bitna, still skeptical, questioned how she could allow a man to sleep in a girl's room when there were other women on the floor. She was angry and warned about the risks of a drunken man snooping around. Feeling down, Kim was frustrated at being treated like a total perv. The blonde girl apologized, saying she was out of it from drinking, and asked for another chance, promising not to do it again. Bitna replied that if it happened one more time, she would have to kick her out. The blonde girl then held Bitna's hand and asked if Kim could join them for breakfast, promising to feed him and send him home right after. Bitna sighed but reluctantly agreed. As the two girls talked, Kim felt lost in the conversation until the blonde girl glanced at him, smiled, and winked. He maintained a poker face. When they reached the dining table, Kim noticed he was the only man among 4 girls in the apartment. As he sat down, Bitna said they should enjoy the meal, and Kim thanked her for the food. He looked around and thought that living in a women-only sharehouse might not be such a bad idea if the price was right. He pondered finding a men-only place, but dismissed the idea, feeling it would be like a military base. Suddenly, he noticed Myung-ji looking at him. She had a big coconut and was beautiful. When she smiled at him, he looked down, blushing. While eating, Bitna mentioned that Myung-ji had told her to dress up. Myung-ji replied she hadn't expected a man to be there. She then asked if Kim was Joo-hee's cousin, referring to the blonde girl. Kim confirmed that she was right, but Myung-ji was skeptical, noting they didn't look alike. Joo-hee draped her arm over Kim and playfully insisted that, of course, he was her cousin. Myung-ji then remarked that in some countries, it was legal for cousins to marry and have children. Suddenly, she teasingly asked if they had made a baby the night before. Shocked, Kim choked on his food, splattering it onto Bitna's face, who slammed her chopsticks on the table and wiped her face clean. Myung-ji asked what he thought about that, adding that she could be his cousin too, suggesting a double meaning as smashing buddies. Under the table, Ji-hee kicked Myung-ji to stop her. Myung-ji, licking her spoon, mentioned she could do a good job too. Embarrassed, Kim blushed and replied, "Yes." Myung-ji laughed and said she was just joking and teasing him, while Bitna shook with anger, clearly annoyed. Politely, Bitna asked Kim if he could leave once he finished eating, reminding him that he shouldn't be there for too long. He agreed. After they finished their meal, Kim left the girls' sharehouse, with Ji-hee waving goodbye. His first experience at the sharehouse went smoothly, and he had been trying to escape the Gashawon for a while. Ultimately, he realized he couldn't break free from the constraint of capitalism and accepted that he would have to adapt to his life at the Gashawon. Later, he went to school, where he noticed many girls and happily inhaled the youthful atmosphere, feeling it was a refreshing change from his time in graduate school. As he reached the classroom door, he opened it confidently and greeted everyone, introducing himself as Kim Jin-soo, the instructor for the literature class. He explained that they would be using absolute evaluation, meaning that if they worked hard, they could earn an A+. Flipping through his notebook to take roll call, he was surprised to see a name he recognized, Kim Bitna. He recalled the rough Sharehouse manager and was taken aback to find her in his class as a high school student. What a coincidence. Suddenly, a devilish expression crossed his face as he realized she was retaking the class. Kim Jin-soo imagined Bitna apologizing to him sweetly, praising him for being amazing and saying she needed to get good grades since she was retaking the course. His mouth watered at the thought. Regaining his composure, he instructed the class to turn to the first page of their textbooks. At 4:55 p.m., he wrapped up the session, praising everyone for their hard work. Glancing at Bitna, he thought she would come running to him, pretending to be nice, but to his surprise, she simply walked out the door. Taken aback, he called out to her, asking for a minute. He followed her outside the classroom, gently holding her arm and requesting her attention. She turned around, asking why he stopped her. Kim became momentarily speechless, unsure of what to say. Other students were watching, murmuring amongst themselves, speculating whether the instructor was pursuing a student. Embarrassed, he released her arm and asked if she didn't recognize him. Bitna replied that she knew he was the instructor. He scratched his head and clarified that he meant from the Sharehouse. She acknowledged that she also knew he was Ju-hee's cousin. When she asked why he had stopped her, Kim was at a loss for words again. Finally, he managed to say that if she worked hard, he would give her a good grade, realizing in that moment how uncool he sounded. Bitna looked away and replied that, of course, she would do that before turning to leave. Kim Jin-soo thought she still had a rough edge. As he reached into his pocket, he noticed his phone ringing. It was his friend calling. So he answered and asked what was up. His friend wanted to know how his first class went. Kim mentioned that he thought he had done a good job, but In-woo pointed out that his voice sounded like he was about to die. Kim shrugged, saying he didn't know. Everything was too complicated. In-woo encouraged him to stop whining and come out, offering to treat him to celebrate his debut as a teacher. Kim left the school and asked where In-woo was. In-woo replied that he was right in front of him. At that moment, a car pulled up, and Kim recognized his friend driving it. He also noticed two girls in the back seat. In-woo announced that beautiful women had come to celebrate his debut as an instructor. It was Ju-hee and her short-haired friend. With a sultry tone, Ju-hee called him cousin and asked how he was doing. Hearing this, In-woo was puzzled as to why Ju-hee referred to Kim as her cousin. Kim shrugged and said it was something like that while fastening his seatbelt. In-woo pressed further, asking what that meant, but Kim didn't respond, and they just started the car and left the school. At the club, there were numerous bunny girls holding champagne. In-woo shook a bottle of champagne, cheering for Kim Jin-soo's debut, and they clinked their glasses together. Suddenly, the short-haired girl pulled In-woo onto the dance floor, leaving Kim at the table. He waved at them, telling them to have fun. Then, Ju-hee leaned in closer to Kim, urging him to look at her phone. As she took a selfie, Kim felt embarrassed while pressing the button, but she captured a great photo of them. She mentioned that she would post it on Stargram. However, Ji noticed that Kim didn't seem to be enjoying himself. He explained that it wasn't that. He just hadn't slept well the night before because the room next door had been quite noisy. Concerned, Ji asked if it was because the walls weren't soundproof. He explained that the studio apartment he lived in had that issue. Kim thought to himself that he couldn't mention he was living in a Gashawon. Ji remarked that Kim had slept soundly when he stayed at her place, and playfully suggested she might need to help him sleep better again. Leaning closer, pressing her bazungas at Kim's arm, she asked if they should live together. Shocked, Kim Jin-soo spit out his drink. Ji laughed, clarifying that she was just joking. However, she added that if he was tired, maybe she should do something for him since it hurt her to see him like this. Ji reached out to Kim looking for his willy, asking if he wanted her to help him feel better, which made him blush. The scene shifted to the bathroom, and Ji started to attack Kim's lips. It should have been me. In the next moment, they were kissing, when suddenly Kim pushed Ji back. When Ji turned around, she was surprised by what Kim did. She pushed her back again so that she was lying in front of Kim. Suddenly, Kim pulled out his weapon and pulled down Ji's dirty white flag, starting an intense fight. While they were doing this, Ji mentioned that she wanted to have moments like this with Kim every day. Kim agreed, saying he felt the same way. Then Ji suggested that they consider living in the same house. Kim was taken aback and wasn't sure how to respond. After a moment, he said he thought it was a fun idea. Kim initially thought Ji was referring to having intense fights every night, but he agreed to live together with her. After their playful encounter in the bathroom, Ji seemed a bit worn out. Kim then asked her if she really wanted to live with him, to which she replied that she did, mentioning that he would come with her to the Sharehouse. This puzzled Kim, as he knew that only women typically lived in that Sharehouse. The scene shifted to Kim going to the Sharehouse, determined to be with Ji despite his misunderstanding about it being exclusively for women. However, he soon learned that he was allowed to stay there. The night he spent with Ji coincided with a business trip for the guy on the first floor, leaving only women in the house. He also discovered that there was a vacancy in the men's room, which was looking for residents. Pressing the doorbell, he waited for Ji to answer. When she opened the door, she greeted him with excitement. As he entered, Ji playfully asked why he seemed so nervous. Inside, there were 4 girls, including Ji, Bitna, Mayanji, and a girl with short hair. Kim bowed and greeted them, and Bitna instructed him to take a seat. Realizing the tone of her command, Kim promptly complied. Realizing it was an interview, Kim Jin-soo felt like he was on a hot seat, his heart pounding loudly as he waited for the girls to ask questions. He wondered if he had to completely bow down just to move in, his palms cold with sweat. Ji calculated that he would need to pay 500,000 won per month, with no deposit required for meals, which was about $450. Feeling a bit defeated, Jin-soo reminded himself that he couldn't pass up the opportunity, given the high value of the arrangement. He glanced at Ji and their eyes met. She smiled and winked at him. Bitna began reading Jin-soo's background and asked if everything he wrote on the paper was true. Jin-soo confidently replied that it was all correct. With a serious expression, Bitna stated that they should start the interview. She asked why he was considering a sharehouse, while the girl with short hair inquired if he smoked, expressing her dislike for the smell of cigarettes. Mayanji playfully asked if he had a girlfriend. As the questions came at him one after another, Kim Jin-soo felt uncertain about how to respond. He thought that Bitna and the others were throwing all kinds of questions his way, with some feeling a bit too intrusive. However, he understood that in a mixed-gender sharehouse, they needed to choose their male roommates carefully. Thanks to Ji's rehearsal, he managed to answer all the questions successfully, and everyone seemed pleased. After the interview, he let out a sigh of relief. The girl with short hair was deep in thought as she looked at him, and then she nodded, saying she had no objections to letting Kim Jin-soo live in the sharehouse. Next, Mayanji also agreed, mentioning that she would pass him as well, because he had a simple background and wasn't a bad person. She gestured toward him, expressing her hope that they would get along from now on. The girl with short hair turned to Bitna and asked for her decision. After thinking for a moment with her eyes closed, Bitna opened them and said she wanted to ask one last question. Kim Jin-soo felt confused at this point. Bitna asked if he was really Juhee's cousin, and both Juhee and Kim Jin-soo were taken aback. Pretending to be surprised, Juhee questioned why Bitna kept asking when she had already given her answer. Bitna pressed on, asking if Juhee was lying. Kim Jin-soo scratched the back of his head and confirmed that they were indeed cousins. Finally, Bitna believed him and said she understood, agreeing to let him move in as well. Both girls beside her were thrilled with her decision. To celebrate, Myeonji suggested throwing a welcoming party. Juhee was so happy that she took Kim Jin-soo's hand while agreeing to the party, leaving him surprised. Suddenly, Myeonji leaned closer to Kim Jin-soo, pressing her bazungas to Kim Jin-soo's shoulder, whispering that they should celebrate him as their new tenant. Juhee agreed and exclaimed that it sounds interesting and they should do it then. The short-haired girl clapped with happiness in her face. Kim Jin-soo felt a mix of guilt for lying, but he realized this was just the beginning of his life in the Sharehouse. Bitna headed to the kitchen, her buns bouncing as she moved. Grabbing a kitchen knife, she began to cook, swiftly chopping carrots into pieces, which left Kim Jin-soo amazed. Once she finished cooking, she quickly served the food. The table was filled with delicious dishes, hot dogs, meat curry, and more, filling the air with a wonderful aroma. They soon started to dig in, celebrating their new housemate, Kim Jin-soo. Overwhelmed with emotion, Kim Jin-soo felt close to tears at the thought of finally having hot, proper meals. Myeonji grabbed a bottle of alcohol and remarked that a party wouldn't be complete without some drinks. Rephrased at first, Juhee seems displeased, but she immediately gets a glass asking how did she know so well. Shining brightly in his eyes, these girls started drinking. Kim Jin-soo felt at this place, it literally heaven on earth for him. He was drooling cheerfully when he felt a gloomy sensation behind him. It was Bitna staring at him with a cold glance. Cold and sweating, Kim Jin-soo asked what she wants. Bitna then said that if there's anything he don't understand, he should feel free to ask her or Juhee. And she asked to please follow the rules here if he don't want to get kicked out. Kim Jin-soo replied that he understood and his thought Bitna's really as serious as she looks. Suddenly, someone knocked the beer at his back. It was Myeonji asking him to let her pour some drink for him. He immediately raised his glass, and Myeonji was ready to fill it. As she leaned in closer, Kim Jin-soo's shoulder accidentally brushed against her. After pouring the drink, she gave him a playful wink. Kim Jin-soo was happy and blushing. Myeonji suggested that since everyone had a drink, they should have a toast. Raising her glass, she smiled and said, "Welcome aboard, Kim Jin-soo." Everyone lifted their glasses and cheered. It was clear from his face that he was truly enjoying this moment with the group. As he took a sip of his drink, Myeonji watched him with a playful smile. Then she spoke up, "I've been meaning to ask you something." Curious, he replied, "What is it?" Myeonji tilted her head slightly and asked, "Didn't you say you don't have a girlfriend? Are you looking for one?" Feeling a bit shy, Kim Jin-soo hesitated before responding. "Not really." With a teasing glint in her eyes, she leaned in slightly and asked, "Then am I your type? Or do you just not like older women?" Kim Jin-soo explained that it wasn't that. He couldn't really tell she was older than him. Just then, Bitna interrupted their conversation, telling Myeonji to stop at the jokes and asking if she had forgotten the rules. Bitna was very much a rule-abiding person, but it seemed likely that she might break those rules later on, especially if things heated up with Kim Jin-soo. "What do you think?" Myeonji replied that she definitely remembered the rules, but insisted she was being serious. She then asked if Bitna was feeling jealous. Blushing, Bitna was taken aback and pretended to be confused, asking why she would feel jealous of someone like him. Kim Jin-soo interjected, asking what she meant by someone like him. With a serious expression, Bitna explained that she disliked people who took advantage of girls using their status and power. Realizing this, Kim Jin-soo recalled what he had said to her after class about giving her better marks if he paid more attention. Bitna had misunderstood him as being favoritistic and taking advantage of girls. Myeonji teased him, asking if he really was like that. Nervously shaking, he found himself speechless and unable to explain. Slamming her spoon on the table, Bitna declared that she would be waking up at 8 tomorrow and headed to her room. The short-haired girl mentioned she would leave as well. After they cleaned up, Bitna and the short-haired girl went upstairs, and Kim Jin-soo couldn't help but admire the fantastic view. Myung-ji noticed his gaze and asked what was going on with him. Jae joined in, playfully warning him not to lay a hand on Bitna. Kim Jin-soo chuckled nervously, saying it was a long story. He sighed, wondering if he would be able to live peacefully in the Sharehouse. Curious, Myung-ji asked what Kim Jin-soo had done to make Bitna act so strict with him. He explained what happened after class, and Myung-ji laughed, saying it was no surprise Bitna felt that way since she really disliked that kind of behavior. Pouring another glass of alcohol, she reassured him, saying he didn't have to worry. There were ways to make things better. Blushing, Kim Jin-soo agreed. Myung-ji then mentioned she was feeling a bit tired and would head to her room. Both Jae and Kim Jin-soo bid her farewell. After she left, Kim Jin-soo told Jae it was almost time to tidy up and get some rest. However, Jae looked disappointed. It seemed she wanted something more from him. She started positioning herself over Kim Jin-soo, and he told her to calm down since they were in the kitchen. Jae asked, "What's wrong with the kitchen?" suggesting he move in closer, so they could have some fun anytime. They started enjoying themselves that night, eventually ending up on the floor. Unbeknownst to them, Myung-ji was watching and thought to herself, "I knew it."
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more content. Feel free to leave a comment down below sharing your thoughts or suggestions. If you want to stay updated on our latest uploads, click the notification bell icon. And hey, why not check out some of our other videos popping up on the screen right now? If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by liking, sharing, and subscribing. It really means a lot. Peace.